What's up, you guys? Sorry we're a little late. We had to get our shit figured out over here, but we're here. Timeout with uSTADIUM, Nick, Frankie, Brianna, the whole crew. We have a big interview in this show a little bit later on. If you guys haven't seen, we were lucky enough to get our Flow Bros in an interview, and they're going to come and chat with us, introduce the show. So Hunter Henry, and we got Sean Culkin, and yeah, it's a pretty big deal. But before we get into that, we have some Russell Wilson news. I guess you could call it some pretty interesting news. Diana Rossini today has said that the Seahawks are not actively shopping Wilson, but they have answered some calls from other teams about him. So with that being said, Nick, we'll hand this to you first. Is he staying in Seattle or is he out of here?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting what Rossini said. She said that, that they've gotten a ton of calls from teams interested, and obviously Russell Wilson's one of the best quarterbacks in football, and if anybody like him is available, the phones will be ringing off the hook like they are for Deshaun Watson in Houston. But she also made like a quick little note at the end saying that they've also made calls to teams, whether it's kind of like just gauging the market, seeing what some of the offers would be like. Between that and like the Russell Wilson saying, hey, I'm not requesting or demanding a trade, but these are 4 teams that I would go to if that, was the case. It feels like it's a little bit more real or maybe a little bit more ahead of where we are with the Deshaun Watson, where, Watson in Houston, they're not even taking any phone calls from teams, let alone calling teams. So I still have a hard time, and I know Frank, you disagree. I still have a hard time seeing them move him. To me, it just feels like another one of those, like Russell's pissed and he'll complain about it. And then eventually they'll meet, halfway and they'll put everything aside for another year and they'll try and improve the team around him. Maybe get him another offensive lineman in free agency or in the draft with a 2nd-round pick. It just seems to me that, this could be eventually heading for a divorce, but I don't see it right now.
Yeah, I think he's gone. I think Russell Wilson, his time is done in Seattle. It started with him saying a few off seasons ago to some people in his inner circle that he wasn't happy with some of the assets that they were getting through the draft and free agency. And now it's gotten to the point where his agent is saying things to people directly. Russell Wilson's not the type of person to go on social media like our boy Nick Jamal Adams, big crybaby over there. But yeah, Russell Wilson's not the type of person to go on social media and express his discontent with the team. He's going to do it the right way. You saw it a few years ago. Heard rumors then. Now it's gotten to the point where the agent is saying things, and now Diana Rossini, who's a legitimate reporter, is now saying that the Seahawks are fielding calls. I think it's broken. Like we said a while ago, and like many have reported on with Deshaun Watson, that it's broken. And it's broken with Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's gone. I think it's the end of his time in Seattle. It's unimaginable to think that this guy's going to be leaving Seattle. I mean, you can't even fathom it. It was crazy to think that Deshaun was going to leave, and he likely is. Now, Russell Wilson, I mean, this is setting up to be the craziest free agency period we have ever seen in, I'm going to go out on a limb, not only the NFL history, it's going to blow away any NFL offseason we've ever seen. It might be the craziest offseason in recent sports history. If you have Russell Wilson leaving, you have Deshaun Watson leaving, you have players like we're going to speak with soon, Hunter Henry that are available. Dak Prescott's looking for a new deal. You have quarterbacks left and right that are looking to be moved. This is going to be wild. Nothing like I think the NFL or most leagues have ever seen before. So this is setting up to be pretty insane. And I think Russ is out. It's just all the writings on the wall at this point.
Yeah, Jeremy Fowler mentioned the Bears as an intriguing option for Russ. He said that he heard from sources that Russ is interested in the Chicago market, a big market, a bigger market than Seattle is, obviously, is intrigued by a up-and-coming or emerging offensive line. I don't know how true that is. And also is interested in an offensive-minded coach like a Matt Nagy, who, if you tell that to Bears fans, they might do a double take and be like, are we talking about the same guy here? The same guy everybody wanted out like 2 months ago. So that report I found a little interesting that he's interested in Chicago. Look, they're a great historic franchise. The fact that he's interested in them isn't a surprise to me, but for the reasons why, the emerging offensive line, I'm not sure that's true. And Matt Nagy being a great offensive mind, I'm not sure that's true. So I found that report to be a little interesting for sure. And I think what we're all looking past here is the fact that Rossini didn't only say that they're fielding calls, but they're making calls. That's a huge deal. That's a way
huge.
bigger deal than
That's
fielding
crazy.
calls. Like they're shopping him, even though she said technically they're not. What are you doing if you're calling other teams? You're not calling to ask what's for lunch. Like you're talking about offers. They're talking about who would give what. So that's like that shouldn't. It's almost like burying the headline of it. That's like really, really legit news.
That's like what I did with Splash. I was like,
Yeah,
I was like
you were
calling
shopping
people. Yeah, I didn't want to just fire him. I wanted something in return. I was calling companies, being like, "Listen, we're going to give you this producer, and we want something in return." All right,
Yeah.
it's better that way.
Leave him alone. I think if he wasn't gone in the first place, because I think he is, regardless.
Yeah.
But JJ Watt coming into the division.
Oh yeah.
If he was unhappy with his offensive line and how much he got put on his ass before, oh my God.
Yeah, those pass rushers are crazy.
Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
Twice in a year.
Well, you got to face Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead,
Fred Warner.
Yeah. Wow.
No thanks. I'm all set with that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the straw that broke the camel's back for him to be.
The NFC North pass rushers don't really kind of hold a candle to that. I mean, who do you really have? I mean, you have the Smith brothers in Green Bay. They might split up.
If you're playing Chicago, you don't have to worry about
Khalil Mack,
their defense at all.
Interesting.
And that's who I would be more afraid of is Khalil Mack and the Bears defense if I was a quarterback.
Well, don't you guys think that the reason why Russell Wilson wants to leave is because he wants to win? Is Chicago setting up in any way to be a team that you consider a contender next year? I think if Russell's leaving, it's going to be to a legitimate team. It's going to be something a little bit crazy. Something I'll throw out there. I have a little bit of a crazy scenario. I think Russell Wilson could end up going to a team like the New Orleans Saints, the New England Patriots, some team that has some prowess and is able to win now. He's not going to go to a rebuilding situation like basically Chicago's in at this point. He wants a better situation than Seattle. Seattle didn't do it for him.
Are able to win now?
With Russ,
I'm kind of going a little bit on a stretch there, but I mean, he's going to want to go to a team that has something in place, that has a system, a coaching staff that he can trust. I think he doesn't trust Seattle. And it may have started bringing this all back to New England. It all starts there. Like when your first Super Bowl, you guys won cheating. I mean, it all started there with the cameras. But it all starts in New England. And if you look at that Super Bowl that they lost on the 1 yard line, that I think was this subtle just chip. He's constantly questioning. I lost a Super Bowl because we didn't run the ball.
He wanted that Super Bowl MVP. If he threw it in and they scored, he would have had 2 touchdowns. And if they ran it in, you give it a Lynch or you give it to somebody else. He wants the accolades, Russ. Like that was the report today. He wants to be known as a top 5 quarterback, top 10 ever. Like he doesn't want to just be like, oh, he's top 5 right now in the NFL. He wants to be like what Tom Brady is, like the GOAT in that conversation. He's not going to get it playing in like a Seattle market. It's just that there's no, like, Seattle fans are great. They're crazy. They're loud, but it's not Chicago. It's not New York. It's not New England. It's not Texas, Houston or Dallas. I'm sorry. Like he wants to go somewhere where, like Splash just said, he wants to be legendary. Like he already is. He's great, everything. But he wants that next step, and he wants to control. He doesn't want to live in, Pete Carroll's shadow and run heavy, play defense. He wants to air it out and throw the ball all around. Maybe he should go somewhere in a dome and just pad his stats like Drew Brees did in his whole career. So, I mean, that's an opportunity that I would look for. I don't think the Saints can make it happen money-wise unless they gut the entire team. But, I would look for a team, stay in the NFC and try and find somebody who's playing indoors. I think Dallas makes so much sense for both teams.
That's a good one, Nick.
Dak Prescott and a first-round pick for Russ,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. Seattle doesn't rebuild. Pete Carroll's 70 years old. They get the first-round pick back. They can get an offensive lineman. They already have DK Metcalf and Lockett. It's not like he's going somewhere with no receivers. Russ goes somewhere indoors. Great offensive line. He can air it out all he wants. They have Mike McCarthy there who likes to throw the ball. Great receivers. The money makes sense. Like, they obviously don't love the idea of paying Dak, but you get Russell Wilson, who is like a star. Even if, I think we all think Dak is pretty damn good too. He's not Russell Wilson. So Dallas can hang their hat on Russell Wilson and his Super Bowl, and it just makes sense for both teams. But I don't know. It's I still don't really see it happening, but I'd love to. It'd be cool to see it. And I'm all for Seattle being worse next year. The Jets have their first round pick, so hopefully they trade him somewhere and they don't get Dak back, but they do a rebuild.
Well, there you go. There's a reason. All right.
Oh yeah, there's always something in my back pocket.
Always a back. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
All right. Free agency is a little over a week away, and like Frankie said, this has potential to be one of the craziest free agencies in recent sports history, not just the NFL. So on the uSTADIUM app, we released our top 100 free agents. So let's just go through it. If you guys, who was the one that actually came up with this list and wants to kind of explain the brain power behind it?
Nick actually came out with a really good list. I didn't have much to say, believe it or not.
It's the first time I've ever heard that too. And actually, Hotep on the app gave us credit for a list for the first time ever. So shout out to him. Usually he'll go and he'll throw a little jab there about what we did, and we'll get shit on for a list that we put out. I mean, everybody loves to hate lists, right? Like, we do it. Everybody does it. But yeah, so I mean, as you can see here, I put the little notation of, this will look a lot different in a week from now at the deadline, March 9th, for the franchise tag with Dak Prescott, Shaq Barrett, Allen Robinson, Godwin. Literally 5 or 6 of our top 8 are probably going to be off the market anyway. But you have Dak here, who is a franchise quarterback, borderline elite. Anytime a quarterback like that is on the market, he's definitely going to be a number one. We all love Shaq Barrett here. Trent Williams is going to be paid a ridiculous amount. He'll probably get the highest contract of anybody in free agency, besides for a quarterback like Dak Prescott. But if you go down the list, like Joe Thuney, Corey Linsley, Brandon Sheriff, those are like 3 linchpin offensive linemen, like interior linemen. If you can add one of them in free agency, like a team like Seattle, if they can go all out and say, look, Russ, like, give us another year, let us fix this. Add one of those 3 guys. If they hit the market, two of the 3 are definitely hitting the market in Linsley and Joe Thuney. But Sheriff, they don't want to tag for the second time, but they also don't want to let him go. So could be a potential for an extension. And that's what the little money bag sign notates. It's either a tag or an extension coming. And then if you just scroll down, it's such a deep cornerback free agency class, which is good because the draft this year at corner is a little light. Usually you get some deep, like 6 or 7 corners that go in the first round. You might only get 4 this year. And it's also deep at edge. Like, you got someone like, looking down the list, Marcus Golden, Tyus Bowser, who's probably going to end up back. Olivier Vernon, I know he's hurt and he's getting up there in age. And even Jadeveon Clowney's out there. We're not huge fans of Clowney, but he could still play if he's healthy. So there's a ton of depth at this free agency class on the defensive side of the ball. And at receiver, I mean, Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, Kenny Golladay probably won't be going anywhere unless there's a tag and trade situation. But when you go down, you see Curtis Samuel, Corey Davis, Juju, Will Fuller. I mean, those are really good receivers who are going to help pretty much any team that they sign with. So it's shaping up to be a really cool class, even with these franchise tags, which will probably be a record this year, they're saying. And also, Rossini, to give her another shout out, she said it's going to be a bloodbath the next few days of teams trying to get under the cap as quick as possible. And you're going to see some talented players hit the open market who you may not expect to. And we put out, it's also, you can click the little breaking news ticker if you want on the app, go to the possible cut list, and you see we went through basically each team's contract and salary cap situation and put down guys who they can financially move on from. They have the flexibility to. It's not like they're going to get rid of all of these guys, but they have the opportunity to move on from these guys and not take a big dead money hit, which teams obviously don't love doing. But this list will look a lot different in a week between the tags and the cuts. But right now, just go on the app, check it out. The top 100 list. We put it on our Twitter. We'll put it up on Instagram also after the show, and we'll go through a few guys that Frank and I like sleepers wise on offense and defense, and do a little who would you rather on the offensive side of the ball too. But I mean, off the top, like I love the offensive lineman in this class. I'm an offensive lineman guy. Even some tackles like Cam Robinson, Taylor Moton, who's probably going to end up back in Carolina. Like those are really good tackles. Maybe not your franchise left tackle guys, but you can bring in a right tackle for $8 to $9 million and shore up your offensive line. I mean, I think almost 28 teams in the NFL are looking for offensive linemen.
Yeah, this is the first time, and we're gonna get into because we have Sean and Hunter waiting. But this is the first time I've looked at a free agency, and I'm salivating. I'm salivating more at looking at that list than when I go to my boy Cutlets & Co., which just opened in Williamsburg. By the way, shout outs to Richie Z. That's my guy. I may invest a little bit, Nick. I don't have much money, but I'm going to put a little investment in there. So, Richie, if you're watching, dude, get me in that friends and family.
Why doesn't he sponsor the show? I will take. I don't even want to check. Just feed us.
Nick,
product.
Yes, please.
See, you guys have to think long-term investment equity. That's more valuable than short-term, money.
Thought right now is dinner. What is for dinner?
Oh my God,
that's as long-term as I'll go right now. And a cutlet wedge sounds pretty good.
But what I'm saying with this list, have you ever seen a list this good? Like I'm looking at this free agency list. You have elite players at every position. You can make that's a Pro Bowl team. Yeah. I mean, you have a Pro Bowl team. You have first team All Pros on there. It's an amazing list, and it's honestly, if a team has money, I'm not usually a fan of going in and just spending as much as you can. Go into free agency and unload the checkbook. Write them damn checks and just start throwing them at people because there's a lot of great players on there. But yeah, with that being said, we're going to take a 30-second break, and we're going to come back with Hunter Henry, Sean Culkin, introducing Flow Bros, the new show on the I always get it wrong. On the uSTADIUM platform, baby. We are going international. I'm going to Ibiza in a few days on a business. No, I'm not. But
you're not.
Just came back from Miami.
Back from Miami, right? Yeah, you can't be going somewhere else.
I'm miserable in New York. I'm cold.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. But hey, what are you gonna do? I got the food here is better. New York City food's better than Miami food. Don't get that twisted. So I will say that our bread is top notch. Il pane, number one. But that being said, we're gonna take a 30-second break, and when we come back, we will have Hunter Henry and Sean Culkin live on uSTADIUM, and they will talk about Flow Bros and what more is coming to the network. So, taking a break. Peace.
We'll be back. Welcome back. Timeout with uSTADIUM. There's 2 extra people in this little chat right here. So if you can't tell, if you can't read their names, Hunter Henry and Sean Culkin, who are the 2 newest members of our uSTADIUM team and the hosts of our new podcast, The Flow Bros. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing great. How you doing?
Doing good. We're happy to have you. Thanks for coming on. So quick, just kind of like intro to your show. What do you guys hope for this? What are your goals behind it? What do you want the listeners to kind of pick up, learn about you? Give me all of that.
Yeah, I think we have been talking about this. We've been friends for, 4 or 5 years, real close friends. And we've been talking about doing a podcast for a long time. Last year, we really got close to doing it and then just never pulled the trigger. And I feel like it's always been in the works, and finally we're doing it, and we're excited. I feel like we just want it to be kind of wherever we go, we go with the flow. Kind of hence the name. Also the name with the hair. You can see Sean kind of's got a nice little flow. I've always been a little jealous. Me, I've grown it out. I've tried. And
kind of grows
Sean's always
out
encouraged
more
me.
like this.
Yeah.
Instead of
It's always a fro.
It'd be the
I'm
fro,
a fro, not a
Fro,
flow. So, yeah, it's we're excited. I think it's going to be cool. Me and Sean are pumped.
Yeah, I mean, we just have like so many times I feel like in the last couple of years where we're like, man, this would be good to share with others. Like we should have a podcast or something like that, along with like, everyone else probably in today saying the same thing, right? But we think that we have like just a different element because of what we do for a living, but then also just our values and our interests, and we're just kind of make it like kind of Hunter said, like how it flows, but we're just going to talk about pretty much like every week would be something different. So it's not like we have a certain niche that we're always talking about this. Obviously, we're going to talk more about football and our experiences in the NFL, but then we also have a ton of other passions that we're extremely passionate about that we want to, share with others there too. So it's going to be unique. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you guys both have like a separate kind of path to the NFL, which is really cool too. You can kind of bring some different expertise. Hunter was a top 35. Well, you went 35th overall, I think it was, second round pick. And Sean, you've had to kind of like scrap and fight and claw your way up through the practice squad onto the active roster. So it'd be cool to kind of get your different, not opinions, but kind of experience on what you've done and how you've gotten there. So I'm excited to, listen to that and just hear kind of just your different, how you've gone through from team to team, Sean, and Hunter, what it's like now being, courted by other teams and doing all that. So I'm excited to just kind of hear your guys' experiences.
Yeah, Nick, like you said, sorry, Hunter, I feel like you're going to see, a different light, right? Like we're all going to see like our experiences in NFL from a different angle. Like you said, like Hunter, how he came in and how I came in. But at the end of the day, we're still on a team. We're still playing the same sport, doing the same thing. So we had the same result, but how we got there is extremely different. And that's going to be fun to kind of share our experiences between the two. And I think that we're definitely a little relate with that.
Yeah, and our relationship, just like we saw each other and like we kind of grew with each other, like as a player, as friends, as teammates. So we can bounce a lot of those stories and a lot of those fun times off each other. Obviously, like you said, we were, different paths, but at the same time, we were still trying to get to the same goal. So we were worked with each other, have a lot of cool stories. We lived with each other. So a lot of cool experiences we've done with each other. Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm looking forward to it, guys.
Yeah, same.
All right, so
Nick, you're up. Or Frankie, you're up. Sorry, Frankie, you're up.
See what happens. Bree and Nick they want to do a show together without me. I'm gonna start doing my own show. Me and Splash are gonna do a show next week. Forget it.
I keep trying to remove you from the screen, but I can't.
I got
don't
the
know how they
creator
do it
tools, bro.
on NFL Red Zone. I don't know, man.
Not gonna happen. But Hunter, not to get too much into this. I know you're going through a free agency process now. What does that look like for you? Like, are you fielding calls from a lot of teams? Is you and your agent who were close with your maybe agent on the marketing side, Mark, who actually set up the Flow Bros connection here, that actually is how we all met. But what does that look like on a day-to-day, man? Like, what are you valuing out of free, from teams contacting you regarding free agency? Like, how does that look?
It's been pretty quiet. That's one thing lately. This year's been weird with no combine. All the teams don't get together. So that can, usually those guys in those passings are talking about free agents, talking about different things. So that's usually a big time for people to at least get a feel for your market. So this year was a little bit different. And then just obviously this past year with COVID and just what's coming up with the salary cap has not really been finalized for this next year. So a lot of teams are still trying to wait to see what the final salary cap is going to be. And until they know that, they don't really know what they're exactly going to do. And so it's kind of just a waiting game, and it sucks because I feel like I'm just, you're just sitting there waiting. You have to be patient. So, me and my wife are just sitting here waiting, being patient, and trying to figure out what's best. We don't really know what's to come. We kind of obviously going to look at everything, the whole picture, obviously finances, team, just perfect fit for myself. There's going to be a lot that kind of goes into it. So, it's just a waiting game. and excited to kind of find out where, what it's going to be, how it's going to go down here in these next few weeks.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. I mean, there's probably so many variables there. So I mean, it's something that is going to be a decision that down the line for you probably is going to dictate a lot of where you see yourself in 5 years as well. So whether it's a quarterback location, where you want to set up your family. So that's interesting, man. In terms of playing with the Chargers and your experiences playing with Justin, who I know you're close with. You guys have a really close relationship. I mean, that's obviously going to have a big effect on you, I'm sure, in terms of picking where you want to go.
Yeah, it definitely will play a factor. I mean, and Justin being a young quarterback who's super talented, with a great relationship with him. I mean, it's exciting. It's an exciting destination, and to be back with the Chargers, I'm not going to rule that out ever. It's been a great place for myself. My wife really enjoys it out here, and they drafted me, so I always have a special place for the Chargers in my heart. So it's just a tough process, you know what I mean? It's just sitting back, waiting, and figuring out what's going to go down. But it's always a potential of going back with Justin, and everybody kind of saw what he did this past year. So it could be definitely a big piece into the puzzle of kind of what I want to do in the end.
Cool. Sean, I want to switch gears and talk about go back in the vault a little bit from 2017 when you went undrafted out of Missouri. Because I'm always fascinated, like once you get to day 3 of the draft and you have the 6th and 7th round, you start looking towards that undrafted period. Like teams go crazy and set up all these calls to bring in free agents. What was that like with you? Like what was it that were you courted by different teams? Were there multiple teams in the running? And why did you decide to sign with the Chargers?
Yeah, like you said, Nick, it's a crazy experience. It's almost kind of analogous to recruiting going out of high school to college, honestly. But it happens. It's all confined in like an hour. So I had a pretty good idea. I was thinking 5th to 7th round, but also knew to be prepared. Hey, if you don't get drafted, who are your top teams? And kind of look at so I kind of knew going into the draft based off roster where I could see myself being a good fit. And so around like you said, 5th, 6th round, you start to get calls, but they're not calling you to draft you. They're calling you, hey, we're thinking about taking you as soon as the draft's over, like keep us on your radar. And towards the end, you kind of started to see, okay, this is where it's going to go. And you start getting all these calls, and it's pretty stressful. You have probably within that 30 minutes to an hour, you're using 2, 3, 4 phones, 4 different people between my agent, my family members, and myself. And everyone's trying to fill that roster, right? Every team pretty much wants to get 10 to 15, 20 guys. So, if you don't get back to them soon, they might have moved on to someone else. So there's a little bit of a time pressure aspect to it. But for me, for the same reason why I went to Mizzou too, I just wanted to go where I felt like I was valued and that they saw potential and value in myself as a player. And the Chargers were one of the only teams to come to Columbia to do a private workout. Every team in that process can have up to 25 guys come in for a visit at their facilities for, see the coaches, meet the strength coach, do a physical, see the team docs, check out everything. And that's a good sign. And they were the only team to fly me out to LA. And that was California. San Diego at the time too. I'm in LA now. But that was my first time actually going to California, which was neat too. But so that's kind of why I picked the Chargers. I just felt like they saw the potential in me, and they treated me well through the process as best they could without drafting me. And that's, as an undrafted guy, the best I could, ask for. So
that's cool. The draft process. I mean, that always interests me, the whole undrafted kind of process when it goes down. But updating now on, where you're at, you spent 3 years, with the Chargers from San Diego to LA. A year with Baltimore last year, so you got to play with Rivers, Lamar. I mean, those are 2 pretty good quarterbacks. Not many better than that. And now signing a futures deal with the Chiefs to play with Patrick Mahomes, who's probably the best quarterback in the league. Was that like a a deciding factor for you? And what exactly is a futures deal? I don't know if many are too familiar with that.
Well, to the quarterback question, I think that's it's always in the back of your mind, right, when you choose. Because I mean, when I showed up at Mizzou, Chase Kaufman, who played at Missouri, he's one of the best tight ends in collegiate play, and he told me, hey, like, as long as you have a good quarterback, befriend him, get to know him, because it will carry over to the field. And at Mizzou, that was always the case. I had between Drew Lock, Matty Mock, I always had good players, James Franklin, and so I mean, obviously, I didn't factor that in when I went to LA, but playing with Phil, playing with Lamar, and now with Pat, I mean, those are three incredible quarterbacks, and it's been a blessing, honestly, to learn from them and understand and to see how they operate on a day-to-day basis. I'm excited to play with Pat, and I've also had some great tight ends, if you look at it too. I mean, look at Antonio Gates when I first showed up, and then Hunter Henry, right? So like for me, I just spent time watching them play, and this, how can I take the stuff that they're great at, how does that fit my role and what I can do? And that's growth, right? So I did the same thing there. I did the in Baltimore, looking at Nick Boyle and his blocking abilities, Mark Andrews, Pat Ricard as a fullback. I mean, 3 solid players, and then now go and play with Travis. So in the quarterback tight end spot, I've been very fortunate. And to answer your question on the futures deal, the way I look at it is pretty much, it all comes down, Hunter, you can jump into, but for me, it comes down to guaranteed money. So, when I signed a 3-year deal when I was undrafted with the Chargers, none of it was guaranteed. So after my second year, going in my third season, sitting in the offseason, yes, I'm on the Chargers, but if I don't play well in that camp, they're going to cut me, and there's nothing guaranteed. There's no reason to keep me because there's no dead money if they keep me or cut me. So it's essentially the same thing. Like, there's no guaranteed money in the contract, but you're on a team, you're on the 90-man, and it's up to you to make the team come camp. So it's the same situation I've always been in the last 5 years, except for last season, I wasn't on a team at all because I was still recovering from a Achilles surgery. So that's the way I look at it. Hunter, do you got anything to add on the futures though?
Yeah, I mean, it's just exactly what you said. It guarantees a spot for you in camp and gives you an opportunity to get in front of the coaches and get film and to prove yourself, just like Sean has done every single year. And even the guys that are guaranteed, I feel like in a way you got to go. You still got to go prove yourself every single year. Every year is a new year. Doesn't matter if you're undrafted, the top guy, you still have to go prove yourself. It's a production-based business, and you got to, prove that you're going to add value to the team. So, I mean,
you're only as good as your next play, right?
Exactly, 100%.
That's the league. That's what the NFL is about. Performing
it's a business, man, and you get to see that the more you're in it. You get to see kind of those decisions being made. So it's definitely a business, and but it's to have an opportunity, man. That's all you can ask for.
Bree, I just want to say one thing. You heard what Sean said, right? They want to play for good quarterbacks, meaning Hunter's not going to the Patriots. We all know that, all right?
It's okay.
If there's anything we got from
right.
But he ain't going to the Jets.
Don't answer on that, Hunter. Don't answer. No comment.
I knew going into this.
No comment. You can listen to Flow Bros for this.
There we go. That's
fine.
how you plug it.
It's fun. You guys, obviously, if we haven't covered it before, you guys are tight ends. We all know this. The position has become so much more glamorous now than maybe when we were younger. I mean, you look at guys like Tony Gonzalez. Yeah, he's considered one of the best, but in his time, like the tight ends, nobody really gave the tight ends as much credit as they do now with Gronk and Travis Kelce, and then Hunter with you, Darren Waller, people like that. How has that kind of, I guess, changed your outlook on your position? Like, is it more exciting to play knowing that people, give tight ends some love now, finally?
I feel like we're still underrated in a way. People give us love, but I feel like we're still underrated.
It's getting better.
It's getting better. It's getting better. We have a national day now, so that's huge.
We do.
We have a whole day dedicated to ourselves and in the season, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, guys like you said, Tony G, Gates, Witten, Shannon Sharp, the legends. Even going back to like Ditka and
I knew you were gonna say, let's go. Mike Ditka, baby. He's a legend. Knew it. You got it,
baby. Got to throw in Ditka. But just even going back to all those guys, I feel like even though it's just such a matchup, the tight end position is just such a matchup. It's hard. We're a big body that can run, so it's tough for linebackers. But you can see how the game, because of the way the tight end position is changing, you can see linebackers change, right? So they're becoming a little bit leaner, faster. I mean, these guys are like running 4.4s now. They are linebackers, right? They're 235, 40 pounds, maybe even lighter, and they're running 4.4. So it's just the game has evolved in a way that they know that they have to have a guy that can cover the tight end because it's such a mismatch. So the tight end position, I think, has evolved the game in so many different ways, but I still think it's a little underrated.
And then you have a guy like Kyle Pitts this year too. I'm sure you guys are going to get into that. Oh, yeah. I don't want to kind of, steal any segments here from upcoming shows, but he might go in the top 5, which hasn't happened in decades. So, I mean, that's going to be something to watch. I mean, he's probably the next great tight end that comes into the league. So, I mean, it's going to be cool to see him.
I think too, the increasing amount of 2-3 tight end sets formations, that was a big change. Like with the Patriots, I think when you saw, Gronk and Hernandez, that was really the evolution, I think, to, okay, now, man, tight ends, they're making plays left and right. And linebackers at the time, 10, 15 years ago, weren't really equipped to maybe guard a guy that is basically a receiver that's 250, that's running a 4.5. And you started to see more tight ends like that. And then with the college going to a spread, you start seeing more playmakers making plays on the receiving standpoint. And then you start doing more 2 tight end sets. You have maybe one that's more of a complete tight end, a blocking tight end. But then you have a guy, like you said, Kyle Pitts. I haven't watched much of him, but I know he's one of the best, pass catching tight ends coming out of college. Right. And, but that fit because of all the new sets. I think that's a big part too. And what's happening to our position.
It'll be cool to see how it evolves because, I mean, you look at just fantasy football drafts and how important getting at least one above average to great tight end is and changes your team.
Mm-hmm.
And
don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on fantasy. Don't get me started.
You were my tight end this year, so thank you.
I created 50 Twitter accounts. I created 50 Twitter accounts, so after every game, I'm the one that's Hunter, why he screwed me on my fantasy points. So Hunter, I'm sorry. That's been me.
Yeah. The worst part about fantasy sometimes is these people take it way too serious, and I'm like, I had a pretty good game, right? I thought I had a good game, and then I'm getting blown up that I didn't help him on fantasy enough. And I'm like, dude, you left 3 points out there, man. I need 3 points. I needed those 3 points. I would have won this week. And I'm like,
get points for blocks, man.
Yeah, I got a block too. I got to do some other things on the field.
No fantasy points on my end.
We need a rule change for blocking points.
Yeah, fantasy football is the death of me. So we won't get into it. But we've got some kind of fun icebreaker, get to know you guys questions. So we're going to do, in our show, we do a little rapid fire segment. So we're just going to do the same thing. First thing that comes to mind, you don't really need to explain it, just pops in your head and just go. So favorite team growing up?
Bucks.
Falcons.
Nice.
Okay.
From Tampa.
This is a good one. Strangest game day superstition. You got to have one. Every athlete has one.
I always say I don't have one, but I keep a routine. Golly. I don't know if I have the exact one. I just do the same process. You know what I mean? I don't do something weird.
Everything starts at the same time. So if a game's at 4 or 1, it depends on when it's starting. And then I know 4 hours before the game, I have a coffee and then I eat this meal at that time. So every time it's always the same routine, I guess. I don't know, Hunter. Nothing's too.
I talk to myself a lot. Is that weird?
A little weird.
Is that weird?
It's a little weird.
I kind of talk to myself.
I talk to myself.
Let's go.
Let's
go, man. Go be the best today. Let's go. You know what I mean? I do that. Is that weird?
Back and forth? Is that?
Yeah. It's all good. I kind of hype myself up in a way.
He's in the corner of the locker room, staring at the wall, talking to himself. It's not that weird, though. I want to consider that strange, right, Hunter? That's not strange.
No, it's not a superstition. That's just that's football, right?
I guess. We got pregame meal. You guys eat before games? throw up after? Like, how do you guys do this?
Tough for me to eat on game day, but usually since we play like afternoon games, I'll eat like an omelet and then honestly that's like some potato, like some hash browns, and then that's about it. Honestly, maybe a smoothie packed with a bunch of protein, so I can make up a bunch of protein in a smoothie. It's easier to get down a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I go
Makes sense.
smoothie, omelet, and a little bit of pasta and chicken breast. I won't finish both, but just to get a little more carbs and protein.
Who eats
Okay.
more? I'm gonna go with Sean.
I'm going with
Yes.
Hunter. Nah.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Sean does?
Sean does.
I eat more.
Sean does. My man can put down some food.
Some food. I don't know. Don't let Hunt fool you though. I mean, we put down some za in our.
We put down some pizza and we put down some food sometimes.
And we crush some pizza.
Yeah, we do. We have in the past for sure.
All right, this is my question right here. You have one sandwich. You can only have one for the rest of your life. What's on that sandwich?
Oh, it's easy. It's Publix subs, the ultimate supreme.
Publix, bro.
Publix, bro. Publix subs. Do you guys know about that? Is that
No,
They
what
don't know
is that?
Publix, bro.
Publix is like
Publix.
Vons, like a Ralph's.
Yeah,
What's
that's
that?
all like
I've
that's
heard
Southern
of it.
California. We don't have that up in the Northeast. We've got like
Oh
we got Wegmans. I guess that's kind
You
of
got
the name.
Kroger?
Like,
It'd be like
No, we don't
Kroger's.
have
It'd be
Kroger.
like Wegmans. I had Wegmans in Baltimore. It's just like Wegmans, and it has the
Okay.
best.
our producer Ryan says Publix is the best. Said it in the chat.
Wegmans.
Yeah, Splash.
What's on the
Wegmans,
sandwich
bro.
though?
This
What's
is
in
the
it?
Supreme is the one I go with.
Oh,
It's,
Supreme.
what is it? It's lettuce, tomato, salami.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's like an Italian combo kind of.
Italian combo. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
If I could do one sandwich, Publix is up there for sure, but I'm probably gonna do like a turkey BLT,
That's a safe
with like
one.
on like a good sourdough bread. Throw a little avocado on there, a little lettuce. Ooh, man.
BLT is one of the most.
Little
BLT is
nice-
a very underrated sandwich. Very.
Yeah,
You know, I've
man.
never had a BLT. I've never
they're
had
phenomenal.
just the bacon. I've never had one.
Oh, those are good too. But I like to throw a little turkey or chicken on there. It makes
I would
it.
throw
Yeah,
turkey.
yeah.
It takes
Yep.
it up a level.
The BLTT. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I don't know. I need like a hot sandwich, like a nice chicken parm.
Well, it's hot.
Cutlet.
I would get it. I would
Cutlet.
get it toasted. I would get my BLT toasted. Hot. You know what I mean?
It's funny to
I
see the
feel
difference
like
because you're
getting, like,
talking to three
actual-
Northeastern, like Italian Americans here, and it's like you're talking pizza and then you're talking like sandwiches. It's like, where's the chicken cutlet?
Yeah,
Right?
Hunter and Sean, you guys know about the chicken
Well,
cutlet
not
game? You guys know about
I
that?
don't know. Yeah.
Oh my
What?
God.
What?
Enlighten us.
It's like
Tell us
foreign
more.
language.
Chicken
Oh, it's like
cutlet.
foreign
It's
language,
a thin sliced cutlet. You egg wash it, you put some flour, and you fry it on a
That's
skillet.
fried chicken.
Yeah, but it's
No,
thin
not
cut.
No.
And then you put it on a sandwich. So you stack up a few. You got a
You got
nice piece. You got
Italian
the little
breadcrumbs.
thin, crispy cutlet.
Yeah.
Chicken
Nice.
cutlet's the best,
Some
man.
Parmesan
Put some,
cheese,
put some
with
lemon on it.
breadcrumbs.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
I say next
Professional
episode,
Fidel,
Hunter,
promote
we have a
Hunter.
chicken cutlet. We'll have it for the first
Yes.
time together on the
Do they
Flow
have
Bros
chicken
podcast.
cutlets out here, bro?
You
Oh,
guys will
where-
find them.
You
Where
can
you guys,
make them.
Italy right now?
It's the
We can do
easiest thing in the world.
I don't know. First timer with a cutlet. It's risky.
Yeah, grease fire. Yeah, maybe don't make them.
I'm getting scared thinking about it.
Yeah, I take that back. Actually, they're
I
not
don't know
hard.
if we could
though,
freeze
so if
any
you
and
ever-
send your way. Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah,
I like
I made
that.
them the other day. and They
Same,
came
but-
out beautiful. So,
I like it.
so next time I'll send you guys a care package from uSTADIUM. Some
All right,
chicken.
what's the craziest locker room or practice field moment? Doesn't have to be from you guys, maybe a teammate. What's the
Or
craziest
even just like a
moment you've seen?
teammate. If it's not a moment, just
Yeah.
like a teammate that was just crazy in the locker room that you remember that was wilding out.
Oh, Hunter, I'm thinking of the scrimmage against the Rams a couple years ago.
Ooh, that was a little crazy.
And
That was a little feisty. I ain't gonna lie.
we got a little
It was on
feisty.
edge. Okay, let's just set the stage for this one first off. Well, we had already practiced with them, right? Isn't that right?
Yep. Mhm.
Already
Oh, yeah, the
practiced
second
with
one,
them.
yep.
And we kind of like hit him in the mouth a little bit,
Right.
like at the first practice. Like we
Mhm.
kind of were like, we took it real serious, and we kind of like, we did well against the Rams in the first one. So we go to their place, and we knew it was going to be a little chippy because it started getting chippy towards the end of the previous practice, and we get into one-on-ones,
One-on-ones. Oh,
and we're
Pulling
like
my hair.
receivers.
pulling my hair.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we doing? Like pulling hair, like grabbing shirts, and I'm like about to pull hamstring. I'm like, dude, what are we doing? We're just trying to we're trying to get better here, man. Like, don't I realize you're trying to make the squad and all this stuff, but like, don't hurt me. So we were kind of getting chippy down with linebackers, safeties, tight ends, and so it was getting chippy. But then we looked down to the receivers, and the receivers were getting super chippy.
Oh yeah.
I guess one of our receivers, Dontrell, he ran like a corner or something, and the guy like just tossed him, like just in the middle of the route, tossed him down. So he gets up, right, throws his. This is the first thing, he threw his helmet off. Didn't he like throw his helmet off to like start fighting? I'm like, dude, that's the worst thing you got to do. Leave your helmet on.
Yeah.
And fights in football practice are stupid because you're just punching helmets.
Yeah.
It's just bad ball.
It's not ideal.
No. So we look down, right, and it just becomes a mad brawl because everybody just collides into that. We thought practice might end, didn't we? We thought like, oh, we're probably going to go home now because this is just going to be a bad practice the rest of the day. But we kept going. About every second play, there's another brawl. So for about 2 hours straight, we had a brawl every 2 plays.
Small one.
Kids were
crazy. Until
nothing crazy.
The culmination was bad.
Yeah, that was just a bad day.
I remember seeing a video. I remember seeing a highlight from a different angle, and you just see, I forget who it was, and he was just charging
Keenan.
Keenan, right? No, I know. I don't know who was charging him. And Keenan dropped, picked him up, and put him on his back.
Oh,
it was
yeah, it was awesome. That was pretty legendary. It was bad of us to do, but it was kind of fun to be a part of.
That's like when the first time in camp that you get to hit another team, right? Like it always sounds like there's some fights that go down when you do the team scrimmages.
Right.
That's the time when it happened, like midway through camp, and you're about a week out from preseason.
Yes, it's in the middle of like we've been going for like 3 weeks, and it's just we're just beat down, and we're like,
it's like 2 days after you just played a game, and then you're scrimmaging this team, knowing that you're gonna play them in 3 days in a game. Yeah, and you've been going for 30 days, and it's hot, and it's just not ideal.
We need to get rid of joint practices. There's just
What's the deal with that? How often do you guys do joint practices, or it just depends? I mean, is it
like I would say they're fun though. It's a good change up, but at the same time, they just always end up somehow getting chippy in a way. And they're always like, just because we're practicing, and it's like in a game, you can't really do that stuff because you're going to get penalties. But out here, it's just like, oh, we can do whatever. But we'll do it. Golly, with the Chargers, we did it a lot. I feel like, didn't we? Probably. We
would always do one with the Rams because it was just up the road, and then the Saints would always come out to Cali. Yeah. So we would have that would be a joint, like a week. You'd have like 3 to 4 practices, and then you play 2 days later a game, and you've already run pretty much all the plays that you're going to be running. It's just not ideal. But
when you guys are in joint practices, who's setting up like the drills for tight ends? Is it one of the coaches, or they're both together? Like, how do you coordinate what drills you guys are doing, or it's just?
I mean, it's kind of like the same
setup.
Yeah, like you split up. We're doing our same stuff. It's almost like a pre-game. Like we're going through just our drills, running routes. We might get together on offense, run 5 plays on air, and then it's like, okay, we're going to go to 11-on-11 or 1-on-1, 7-on-7. But instead of going against the defense like we would in camp, then the Saints come over from their field. They've just did the exact same thing that we just did for the last 30 minutes, and they come over, and then we have a joint like scrimmage, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got everything we needed to get, you guys. So
that was awesome.
Cool.
Thank
you guys want to be on the show with us every week? I mean,
I'm down.
Every other week. You guys can come on whenever you want.
It'll be fun.
Good.
Yeah.
We got to do what they do on ESPN when like Stephen A joins like Get Up, and then they do the other way around, and they have like Greeny go with Skip, and not Skip, with Stephen A. So we do like one of you guys can hop in on our show and vice versa. So
just buzz you in real quick. Well, all right. So we obviously got to plug the show. Flow Bros is going to debut on Monday. We decided. Final answer was Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, with these two guys. And if you thought anything that they had to tell us today was entertaining, just wait. Make sure you have the uSTADIUM app. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and you can get Timeout with uSTADIUM, Flow Bros, and everything else that we have right there. So with that being said, we're done here. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. Nothing like a good old fight. They came out back. So, Splash.
Oh
That
my
was a great
God.
fight. I love that.
That's a
That's
shout out to Splash for
What
that.
a pull from
Yeah.
Splash right there. The way Keenan Allen just came in and pile drove that guy. Are you kidding? That's like WWE. Are you kidding?
Me and Nick got in a fight one time.
Yeah, that was me.
Believe it
or
Power
not,
by
that?
Frank, actually.
He actually beat me up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beat you up.
Oh man. That was gee, I've seen just going to Pat's camp every year. I've seen a couple back and forths between like Edelman and Gilmore that one time, but nothing like that. That's insane. That's crazy. So
I don't
they
think Hunter
weren't
got involved in that one.
I
I think he was
not.
off to the side a little bit.
I
I'm
hope
not going to
not.
throw him under the bus here, but I don't see him as a scrap kind of guy.
Yeah,
That
but
was awesome,
that interview was great. Yeah, like we want to get them on more. Like just knowing those guys is just awesome. They're funny. Like when they're together, I've spoken to them now a bunch of times setting up the show. They're hilarious. So you guys are gonna love the show. It's gonna be sick. And Hunter will give you all the glimpses and like insights into his free agency. Which I mean, how many times do you get? I would say he's the number 1 rated tight end right now in free agency, top 5 player. We just showed our list. I mean, he's a big get. They were projecting him to get maybe $10.5 million a year. I saw somewhere on Roto, he could sign somewhere between a $30 and $40 million deal unless that god darn franchise tag comes in, which they need to axe. But if that happens, then everything changes. But yeah, that interview was just awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They're a good vibe. They vibe. The flow, no pun intended again, but they flow really well together. Like they just, it's like they're hanging out. Like you feel like you're just chilling with them. So it's going to be really cool. I can't wait for Monday.
Yeah, I mean, they're awesome, and the fact that we were able to get them on here is awesome, and I think it's gonna be great for the network all around. So it's pretty cool. But back to our little free agency talk before we jumped into the interview. We had in our plans for the show today, we kind of had a little this or that planned with free agents. So let's just run through this real quick. You guys just say who you would rather. And then we'll go into some rapid fire questions from the comments after. So first and foremost, Curtis Samuel or Corey Davis?
I like both. I'm going to go Curtis Samuel, kind of a little jack of all trades guy.
Frank?
I'm going to go Corey Davis because he can play the flank, number 1 wide receiver position.
Okay. Provided neither of them gets tagged, Allen Robinson or Chris Godwin?
Give me Allen Robinson, man. I want to see him with a good quarterback for once. Like, Jesus, he's played with the worst of the worst. Godwin's great. Love him. Huge fan. Wanted him out of the draft in Penn State. But I think Allen Robinson's that big body. He goes up and gets it, runs all the routes. Put him in the slot. He could do it all. I think he's a top 5 receiver, whereas Godwin's probably on a few steps below.
I'm just taking Godwin from a wear and tear perspective. His best years are ahead of him. So I'm going to go with Godwin. Give me the younger receiver. And I like his attitude, Chris Godwin. I think it's underrated how he thinks about the game. So I'm going Chris Godwin.
All right. Will Fuller or Juju? This one's interesting.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to go with, give me Will Fuller. Let Juju worry about his TikTok videos. Let him worry about looking good in front of the camera. Will Fuller doesn't say anything. All he does is run them streak routes for touchdowns. Will Fuller is extremely yes, that's the one bad part.
Yeah.
Pretty important, right? Staying on the
a little
field.
bit. I guess for that reason, I don't love either of them, but for that reason alone, I'll probably just take Juju just because he's there. He plays.
All right. Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith? I feel like we just all have to say Hunter for this one.
Hunter Henry. Who
Gotta
came up
back
with
the
this
boy.
question?
I'm gonna take John.
Oh my lord! Are you
Hey,
serious?
come on.
Yeah, don't send it to Hunter, but yeah.
Later. He's done. I'm sick of him. Putting splash on.
I think he's someone who could go to a more pass-friendly offense and really kind of like blow up into a top 5 guy.
It's Hunter to me. I just like his size. I like all that he can do. I was watching some clips of him the other night, and he just does everything, and he's really good in traffic. Jonnu, again, Nick, like you like Jonnu and Curtis Samuel, which I like too. I do think they're a little bit dependent on the offenses that they're in and how creative they are. Hunter, you put him into any offense, he'll be productive. Same thing with Corey Davis. I like those kind of guys.
That Titans offense is very run heavy, though. If you put Jonnu in an offense where they feature him a lot more, like I don't even know, like I'll put him in Green Bay with Rodgers. I know he doesn't really love to, like, they haven't had a great tight end, but put him in an offense, an open offense like that. I think he's got top 3. Like you could talk about him with like a Waller and conversation like that. I think he's that athletic.
All right, moving to the opposite side of the ball. Bud Dupree or Yannick Ngakoue?
Those are both my dudes. I'm going to take Yannick just because I've been old school. I mean, not old school. I've been on the Yannick trade for a while. I don't think he's the player you saw in Minnesota and Baltimore last year where he wasn't very effective. I think he's one of the best strip sack guys. I think he's a force. He's a machine. He could get after the quarterback. He can score on the defensive side of the ball too. He can really impact the game as a pass rusher, and he's healthier than Bud Dupree is, but it's tough. I love Bud.
I do love me some Bud. Multiple times. Actually, no, I don't. I'm not a Bud fan anymore. That was my high school days. I was a big Bud guy. But I'm taking. Give me Bud Dupree. 19.5 sacks over his last 2 seasons. He's actually productive. Yannick was a bit of crybaby and didn't really do much recently. Give me Bud Dupree. I like him. He's gotten better probably every single year that he's been in the NFL. So he works hard. I like him.
All right, and then last one on our list. A little bit older, but pretty good. Richard Sherman or Patrick Peterson?
Oh, easy one for me.
I think so.
Sherman.
I know what you're going to say. Yeah, I knew it.
Sherman.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Peterson's shot. I think he's going to be a safety soon. I don't think he could play man up anymore. I know Sherman's better off in more of a soft off coverage anyway, but I think he's still one of the best corners in football. And what he brings from a mental standpoint and almost like a coach on the field, I think there's no one like him in the game. And I still think he could play at a top level for 2 to 3 more years.
I think Peterson needed to get out of Arizona. He was there for forever. He was, he was drafted by them. So I think he needs to change the scenery. I like that he's not as old as Sherman. He's 30 years old, 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, Patrick Peterson. So put some Retupac on his name, Nick. Put some respect on it. But
that's right, Tixie. That's my dude.
Yeah, Patrick Peterson.
All right. So I think Nick and I pretty much agreed on almost every single one of them. So
you wouldn't pick Hunter Henry? What's wrong with you guys?
Oh no. Okay, so that was the only one. That was the only one. The only one. But all the other ones, I'm like in lockstep.
Checks are bouncing from uSTADIUM this week.
I know.
That Venmo's getting shut down.
No, it can't.
Frank, who's your sleeper? Right. Give me a sleeper free agent, Frank, before we wrap up.
Xavier Rhodes. Big Xavier Rhodes.
Love that dude. Me too.
Love him.
I thought last year when the Colts got him, it was a great move. He's a great player.
Yeah, he is.
I like 2 guys on offense. It's a weird one. I love Jamal Williams, a running back from the Packers.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I love him a lot. He's only 25 too. When he gets the opportunity, not a lot of tread on the tires too, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Great blocker too. When he gets the line share of the reps, he's averaging like 4.5 yards per carry. I think he's averaging like 101 yards per game when he's the lead back. I think he's a guy who's going to go to another system where he's going to get the ball more often, and I think he's going to become one of like the better running backs. I love his game. And Trey Hendrickson on the defensive side of the ball, athletic, like super athletic kind of guy for his size. I feel like he's going to be like a Shaq Barrett kind of guy where he had a good year on one team, wasn't really like the alpha there, and then went to another team to be the top pass rusher. And he takes off, and he's like one of the best pass rushers in football. I think that guy's in line for a pretty solid payday. I think it's going to be between like $11 and $12 million a year. Maybe like guaranteed up $25 to $28 million. I think he's still 25 years old, and I think his best years are definitely ahead of him. I think he had like 12 or 13 sacks this year. I think he's going to go somewhere else and be a beast.
All right. Do we have time to do comment questions? Do you guys want to do
Sure.
a couple?
Always.
Let's throw them. Everyone throw in your questions. We're going to answer them now. Throw them, and make sure you guys like the stream, and download the uSTADIUM app, because we're going to get you guys some exclusive content with Hunter and Sean Post.
And subscribe on YouTube too, if this is where you're watching us, because if that's where you're watching us, why aren't you subscribed anyway? And that's
right. Rachel, 30 is not old.
No, Rachel, 30 is old, girl. Trust me, I'm 30.
I'm scared.
It's very old.
I'm scared.
You blame your mattress for everything when it's just your age. Trust me.
All right, let's get some questions in the comment. We got our first one here. I feel like we answered this like last week though.
Is that an adult beverage or?
I don't know.
You want to do both, an adult and a regular?
Both. Yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead, Frank. It's kind of right up your alley.
Regular ginger ale. Give me a nice ginger ale. It doesn't matter what kind. I love them all. So ginger ale, regular. Adult beverage. I've recently switched. I was a big double IPA person. For unforeseen circumstances, I've had to retire from double IPAs, at least for the interim. I am a tequila soda guy.
There we go.
Tequila soda with some lime. It's fantastic. By the way, they're coming out with tequila soda White Claw drinks that are pretty damn good, gluten-free and all that jazz. Not too strong, so they won't knock you out. But yeah, they're not that strong. It's like tequila, it's like a five. It's like having like a White Claw, but it's tequila soda style, like a High Noon, but with tequila. They have those in Miami, not yet here, but they're coming.
Is that yours? It seems like that's yours, Bree.
Yeah, so my normal regular is just, it's water. Like I drink like almost a gallon of water a day. Like it's just, I don't know. I know it's boring, but and then my adult beverage is either tequila or wine.
Red wine.
My adult beverage is definitely an old fashioned. That's my favorite drink.
Right.
Not a big alcohol guy really anymore. But definitely around the holidays, especially like an old fashioned. I love it. And regular, it's like water's up there too with me. And remember the quarter waters?
Oh man,
grenades? Those are the
those
best.
Things were good.
Oh,
the little, like the sugary, the little with the grenades, they're the best.
Yeah,
like
you get those in Washington Heights still. You won't remember what happens after you have them, but yeah.
All right. Surprise free agent signings or trades that we could see this offseason. So free agent signings and then trades.
I think Russell Wilson's getting traded to a contender. I mean, Seattle's going to look to get him out of the conference, so maybe you could look at the AFC. So I think you could see him going to contender. So I think Russell Wilson's going to get traded. Surprise free agent signing. I think Antonio Brown's going to go to a pretty good team. I think he'll get more money than you think. I think teams are going to be interested in AB, and honestly, I don't see why not. Give the guy a shot. I think he'll give you really good production. So,
yeah, I feel like the Saints are going to make a big trade if it's getting rid of somebody, maybe like a Ryan Ramczyk to a team just to kind of unload some salary cap, either him or Marshawn Lattimore. I feel like. Watch one of those two guys. And in terms of a signing, give the Packers like a top receiver, man. Give them Curtis Samuel. Like let him run opposite and run around in the slot with Devontae Adams. Give Rodgers something.
That's a great spot for him, Nick.
Yeah, man. Like he can run the ball because they're going to lose Jamal. They're going to
lose Aaron Jones.
Probably Aaron Jones.
Curtis Samuel, perfect for Green Bay. That's a good one, Nick. I'm glad you're not in our fantasy football league anymore.
I know. I think I'm retiring altogether.
Want to have a wine night, Bree? No, I don't. Thank you. Thank you for asking, though. That's really nice of you to ask.
That is nice.
Is that Michael's? Is that Michael P's burner account? I was kidding.
Oh boy.
Yeah. On that note, I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Give Splash some love.
Yeah.
We're
Shout out
throwing
to
them in.
Splash for the way
Producer
that he
Splash, hey.
produced this show tonight.
The seamless
What a guy.
transition from interview to video to show. I mean, if there's any more Splash hate, I'm leaving. Seriously, it's Splash or no one.
Yep. 100%.
I don't agree. I'm not on that train yet, but we'll see. I'm getting there. I've been getting there.
You were nicer to him today. Only kind of
Yeah.
one shot at him.
Splash, Nick did tell me to be nicer to you. He goes,
I
you
did.
were mean to, and I agreed with him. So I do apologize on this show. Brie, I'm not mean to you ever, right? I'm not mean to Brie. I just cut her off.
No, you guys aren't mean to me. I'd give it right back to you if you were.
I'm scared of Brie. I wouldn't be mean to her. I'm scared.
Brie's an Italian woman. You better be scared.
Yeah.
Javi wants to know your favorite type of wine. Send us home.
I don't discriminate. I like all types of wine.
That's a good answer.
Pinot Noir, Italian reds, French whites, and California. You can kind of go either or, but Italian reds are always the best. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Very nice.
All right, we're done here. We're done.
Yeah,
we're getting off the rails.
We'll see you next week.
We need
another
to go.
week closer to free agency.
That's it. Next week is our last week before free agency hits. So lots to talk about.
I'm excited for the Jets to be used as leverage again and end up with nobody. Let's go.
Can't wait. All right. And that's that. We'll see you guys next week.
Feeling great. See you, buddy.
Later.
Later.
Timeout.